Presented by Samuel Adams. Savor the flavor responsibly.
And I get to sort of just with my eyes closed, just grunt in her direction as she grunts back. And that's fatherhood.
That sounds a lot like my relationship with Lenny.
Welcome to Highly Questionable. I'm Dan Batard. That's Pablo Torre and Mina Kimes telling you about the dysfunctional relationships in their home. Let's get started.
Dysfunctional? It's ideal.
Is it fair to blame Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers' loss last night?
All right, before we tackle the micro, which is the sports issue of the day, I just want to marvel of all the strange things in the pandemic. I don't think there's been anything stranger than baseball's back, baby. They've got the kinds of storylines that we're interested in. The Astros, the cheating Astros might win the World Series. And then this, the most human thing in sports you could possibly imagine. We've been doing this throughout sports debate forever. I'm old enough to remember us doing it. To Michael Jordan, cannot win the big one, will not win the big one. And here's the guy, excellent during the regular season and god-awful, historically bad during the postseason. So human, so random. I felt for him last night. You could call him a choker all you want, but that guy is great at what he does for a living, better than most who have ever done it, and he's been brutal in the postseason.
So I watched this game, and on one hand, Dave Roberts really should have taken him out sooner, okay? Gratterall, of course, he came in and immediately imploded because that always happens with Kershaw. And the Dodgers offense had just 3 hits. If your entire offense has fewer hits than the boy band 98 Degrees, it's probably your fault, okay? But on the other hand, the rookie Bryce Wilson for the Braves came in and he pitched 6 innings. It was nearly perfect. So like most narratives in sports, this is probably overblown, but there's also a very large grain of truth in it. And the reality is, if Clayton Kershaw had had a good game, we wouldn't be talking about him today.
Yeah, what's crazy, though, about Bryce Wilson, Bryce with an S apparently, 22 years old, the Braves starter. It's one thing to only have 3 hits against the opposing starting pitcher. It's another thing to have 3 hits against a guy whose ERA career is almost 6. This is the offense that led the National League in home runs. This is the very well-paid Dodgers, and they go and do that against that particular pitcher, which is humiliating. And in terms of Clayton Kershaw, yes, let's contextualize this. After the 6th inning and on in the postseason, all time, he has the highest ERA of anyone ever, over 7. So he is uniquely historically bad. And so the question then becomes, if you're going to face Marcell Ozuna, who destroys left-handers, basically turns into Ted Williams against lefties. He crushes those off-speed pitches. And you have Kershaw in that scenario. It's on everybody on this team to know you need to protect Clayton Kershaw from himself. And I know there is great irony in me saying this on a television show that routinely undermines me, but protect your own players. That is the number one goal of any managerial job. Protect the people working for you.
One of the things I do love over the last 2 decades, as Moneyball showed us how to exploit market inefficiencies, and we have seen in real time during our lifetimes, the way basketball has changed the value measurements from 2-pointers to 3-pointers, and baseball with all these shifts and all these numbers. I can't believe, Mina, that we're in such a smart place. You've seen it in football. We're better at measuring this stuff than we've ever been, that we're in such a smart place that we're arguing on television whether Clayton Kershaw, one of the best pitchers we've ever seen, should be allowed to go through a lineup for the 3rd time, because in the 6th inning or on, you don't want to be going for the 3rd time, no matter what pitcher you are in today's game, where all these dudes are throwing 97 and striking everybody out. You do not want to go through Ozuna and Freeman and Acuna, no matter who the guy is pitching.
That's what I hate about the Clayton Kershaw narrative story, whatever, so much. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's not like a smart baseball story. It's dumb. And every time I see him, I'm rooting for him for that reason, because it invites the sort of idiotic sports TV debates that we hate to have. And yet it's true.
It's crazy. It's crazy
Yeah.
because he absolutely feeds Pablo. He is feeding the sports talk radio narrative of that guy melts in short circuits and big moments because he's weak. He's a coward.
No, I have.
Okay, none of us said that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, like, let's not
no
go
one
there.
called it.
I was gonna
It's
talk
fine.
about the difference between like clutch and sort of like suboptimal
Yeah.
performance in high leverage situations, but you just went all in on coward, which
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
no,
Too
that's
strong.
not-
Too
Nobody
really
called him
too
that.
strong.
Nobody
because
called
I
him
thought
that.
that's what
Like,
Yeah.
choker
you
was.
really-
I thought that's what a
no,
choker
no.
was. A coward. No,
Nobody-
just
no,
someone who choked.
Literally 0 people
Yeah,
here
like-
said that.
psychological pressure is different than being
Wow.
morally
So it's
reprehensible.
me calling him a coward on television. You
Yeah.
guys have spun this. So now I,
Oh,
king of
yeah.
empathy, am
I
calling him a
mean-
coward on television.
Shut up! Everybody feels sorry for him now. I said empathy.
How can you not relate to the human condition? It is precious, you unbelievable moron.
Yes, I am the dictator
Bring me
of
your
empathy.
tears.
Someone is going to make this into a television show so much better than this one.
Does signing Le'Veon Bell mean that we should just give the Chiefs the Lombardi Trophy right now?
Okay, so this one is super interesting for this reason. He had a number of choices, and he's going to a team that largely doesn't need him unless he wants to rehab himself as, instead of jet soiled, the best running back in the game, which is what we thought he was before the holdout and before the Jets sank his career and made him an objectively awful purchase in New York, 19 yards, his longest run. But now the Chiefs are the Patriots, where they get a guy and you're like, what do they know? They've taken that from Brady and Belichick, where they get Randy Moss or Antonio Brown, and we're like, how did they get him? That's not fair. He goes to the offense in the sport that needs him literally the least, because the running back is disposable, but they're more than anywhere. Le'Veon Bell has learned the running back is disposable. They're more than anywhere. They could put anyone in that position, and that they could put me there, and I'm going to get a $120.
But that's exactly why this is not quite as interesting as I think you just portrayed it. Because, Dan, let's review the 3 teams that Le'Veon Bell considered going to. It was number 1, the Chiefs, obviously. It was also the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, which just coincidentally happened to be the next 3 opponents of the New York Jets. So once you filter all of this through that lens of just utter, I don't know, hatred of your old employer, then okay, let's go to the place that's least like my old employer. It's not going to be the Bills. It's not going to be the Dolphins. It's going to be the Chiefs. And I just feel so bad for the New York Jets. They lose Jamal Adams because he wants to go to a good team. They lose Le'Veon Bell, who was shaming Jamal Adams for wanting to go to a good team, to the Chiefs. And now they have to, yes, watch Le'Veon Bell in a couple of weeks be the best running back in the league, possibly, specifically because he's no longer with the New York Jets.
I feel bad for Jets fans. I do not feel bad for the New York Jets as an organization. I mean, Adam Gase has whatever the opposite of a Midas touch is, where everyone who leaves him turns to gold. Ryan Tannehill crushing it in Tennessee. Robbie Anderson, the wide receiver who they didn't want to sign, has been awesome in Carolina. But when I look at the Chiefs, who, by the way, have the second most efficient offense in football, people are talking about them like they're regressed or something. They're still really good. And I don't think, the missing piece is a 28-year-old running back who is averaging 3.2 yards per carry in New York. I think he's useful depth. I think they can find ways to create mismatches in the pass game, but the notion that this is anything other than tinkering at the margins for Kansas City, I think, is wishful thinking. Speaking of wishful thinking, Dan talking about how he would get a $120 in the Chiefs offense.
Yes.
Please Photoshop Dan
Yes.
onto one of the
Please.
Chiefs
I
running
want
backs.
you guys
running
watching
like
me.
a
Look
jet
at these
ski.
open
Yeah,
spaces that I run in. Look at how much room I have to
Yeah.
move in very, very big holes. They'd have to be big holes, but those are the ones I'd have because of all the crisscrossing and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes throwing across his body. They wouldn't even notice me out there, the rare 275-pound running back.
More like Clyde Edwards Eclair.
Oh, wow. Really? Wow, that was pretty good. Wow, I have to eat that one.
You do. More like Le'Veon Taco Bell
Oh wow, really? We could play this game for a while. I feel like I've done this already. I've already been, man, on the radio. I've been Patrick Chewing. I've been Tracy McGravy. You guys can't beat our audience.
Coming up next on my son Stevie show.
I understand dating back to last year that Lamar Jackson does not want to be pigeonholed, doesn't want to be typecast. I know that he said on record he doesn't like to really run the ball because he wants to be known as this quarterback. But I'm sorry. It's like when Jim Carrey keeps on trying to do dramatic roles. I understand you want to go do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but I also want Ace Ventura 3.
Highly Questionable is presented by Samuel Adams. From Boston with love. Savor the flavor. Will you be worried if Lamar Jackson doesn't run the ball well this week against the lowly Eagles?
All right, so his running numbers are down, and this has been a weird shift in this sport in that I thought the whole reason that he wasn't going to work as a quarterback ever in that league is because he was going to get hurt from running that much, because that does not work in that sport. But because he won the MVP, because we've never been actually worried like we were with RG3 that an injury has happened and why is he still out there running, I find myself curious, Mina, has all of this shifted when it comes to this kind of style of play? And now Lamar Jackson has moved it so that, hey, you don't have to worry about getting hurt. You can have a running back so good at quarterback that he knows how to not get hurt.
The problem with the Ravens offense isn't that Lamar Jackson is hurt, or it's not that he's running less, it's that he's running less efficiency. Last year, when he ran on first down, the Ravens had a success rate, meaning you're getting more than halfway to a first down, of 58%. Now it's down to 29%. And the reasons for that are complicated. They lost a Hall of Fame guard in Marshall Yanda. The passing attack is less scary, so defenses are less afraid. And defenses are also playing him differently. You're seeing more split safety looks. That's had some success against Lamar Jackson when he scrambles. I think sometimes with football, people look at a team and they'll say, no, call the good play. Call the good play. The one that worked last year where he runs. But it usually is more complicated than that. And I think this Ravens offense is going to need to evolve in order to keep playing as efficiently as they did last year because something isn't working.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals, after their last game, were talking trash after the game, which they lost because they felt like they had solved the Baltimore Ravens offense. They were talking about how they just covered the middle of the field. They covered Andrews, they covered Hollywood Brown, they covered Lamar Jackson really well. And I know that there are complicated reasons, as Mina just laid out, for why exactly it's not working so well. But fundamentally, yeah, I do want them to just call the good play. I want all of these plays to just be runs. And yes, I understand dating back to last year that Lamar Jackson does not want to be pigeonholed, doesn't want to be typecast. I know that he said on record he doesn't like to really run the ball because he wants to be known as this quarterback. But I'm sorry, it's like when Jim Carrey keeps on trying to do dramatic roles. I understand you want to go do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but I also want Ace Ventura 3. You are the best in the world at Ace Ventura 3, and you're not giving me Ace Ventura 3 because you want to prove that you have the chops as a thespian.
How dare you? The Truman Show was excellent.
Yes, he's been good as a thespian. He's an artist.
Been fine.
He's a great comic and also a great serious actor.
Yeah, but you're telling me Jim Carrey crying on the one hand.
Do you question if Iowa State should let Howard Brown play quarterback?
All right, so earlier in the show, because I'm a source of mockery now, Mina Kimes decided to throw up on the screen me running around a field with an eclair because I, as a running back, would look ridiculous. But we took you out to Auburn here recently, where you saw this giant guy here, Pagis, playing a quarterback spin move. Yes, that's a big man. Yes, a lot of athleticism. That is part of the evolution of the position. If the evolution of the position includes weight gain. And so we check in with Howard Brown now. This is high school. Now, this guy is going to Iowa State as a defensive tackle. But yes, look out. Here comes Howard Brown. Who's going to Brown Town? You're going to Brown Town.
Oh, my Lord.
Yes. 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 God bless the big quarterback. This is what the sport needs as an evolution right here.
I am going to watch every Iowa State game next year. This is so much more entertaining, right? Than any other college quarterback.
He is amazing. If you watch how those guys were tackling him, they were throwing themselves at his thighs and just bouncing off, which seemed like the worst possible place to try and tackle him. But they're not going to play him at quarterback, right? Like, they're going to do the thing that is infuriating. And that's the last we're going to see of that wonderful young man.
That's it. That's it. Yes.
No, look.
Yes.
If Sean Payton can design trick plays for Taysom Hill in incredibly unnecessary situations, you can design thick plays for this young man.
Yes,
Come
thick,
on.
with 2 C's. Thick.
3 C's.
In Taiwan, CPBL baseball.
All right, so there was a home run hit in Major League Baseball in the playoffs. The cheaters, Correa, who's been a little defiant about the cheating, hitting a home run, telling everyone to bleep off. That's the home run that people are talking about over here. But in Taiwan, we've got a different home run that people are talking about. Let's check that out. I don't know what this is exactly.
Still tied at 2, and this one drives straight away to center, giving chase is Lin Zexuan, and this was caught.
No, it's gone.
No, it's gone. The solo shot by Pan Jiekai. The goal
Wait a
here
minute.
round
He
now
caught it.
scored 3-2.
He caught it. He
Wait,
caught
solo
it.
shot.
It's not a solo
wait.
home
Start
run.
the inning.
Oh,
He thinks
break
it
the
was
tie in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Everyone thinks
caught
it's
the
a home
baseball.
run, but it's not a
He
home
caught
run.
He caught the baseball. Wow.
He
beat
caught
all
the
of us.
baseball,
Ball
ladies
landing
and
his
gentlemen.
So I
And the
call
most
it
casual
What
way
a
to do
catch.
that. Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
I believe it's the catch. Did you
Oh,
see
wow.
the ball?
Yeah.
So chill.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
that was extraordinarily chill.
That was swag, though. Man, that's the coolest way to be nonchalant right there. That is the quietest kind of swag. That guy knew he had the whole game in his grip there, and people are yelling and screaming. And he's like, no, I know what's in my glove. Pablo, are you intrigued?
I am intrigued because I should be intrigued by the fact that this show has been, I think, a majority videos from the continent of Asia show, except I'm not intrigued insofar as none of these videos have actually made me feel more confident about myself. So, no.
Total coincidence that we keep going overseas to cover things. Mina, are you intrigued?
I am intrigued, and now I would like every time the Astros win. Hey, I want the Astros to win the World Series in a dramatic fashion. Carlos Correa home run game 7, and then the next day I want to go back to Taiwanese baseball. Like, let's make this a thing, an ongoing bit with the show. I am all in on this.
Yes. Guys, I love that baseball, the most historic sport, has the pandemic change everything, rattle everything, and now we're super intrigued in this random ball we're playing at the end of a season that is totally mutated. Mina, how much do you love this Astros story? How much do you love?
I'm especially intrigued because the Astros are succeeding, right? Like, Astros fans seem to think we're against them. I'm in the sports content business. This is the best thing that's ever happened to us. Carlos Correa, in particular, thriving and leaning into the A-Rod-ish villain role is the best. Like, I don't want Altuve to be a villain. Carlos Correa, the Adonis, the, like, you know, swaggering, like, gigantic, perfect hitter as a villain is gold for us.
Wait, I like how Dan is nodding along as you're talking about how it's hard to just make fun of people who are just smaller than you, as Dan Batard nods along on his television show where all he does is make fun of people who are smaller.
Well, because I feel bad for Altuve. Altuve's got like some mental short circuiting. He's been bad all season hitting, and now he can't throw the ball. He's wonderful for his size, but it feels like bullying. Correa, you're going after someone your own size there. Correa's not afraid of anybody.
Oh, bullying, yeah.
Short-circuiting? Really,
Yeah.
Dan? Short-circuiting?
King of empathy.
All right, we're done here. Enjoy the weekend. I'm sorry to bark that at you as if it was an order. I demand, the King of Empathy demands that you enjoy your weekend. If you want more Mina Kimes, the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny, funny, informative football podcast, and Pablo Torre.